Hi, welcome to Give Permission to Ask Questions on a Monday morning, season 4, episode 3. And this is Give Permission to Run an Empire. So I have a special guest today. She's cool. I like her. So, Katherine, your 30-second elevator pitch.
All right. Well, I guess I would start by saying my name is Katherine. I'm a mom, wife, daughter, sister, auntie, but I'm also a business owner, educator, and leader. And I think when you're talking to people, you got to ask questions. And so I would say something along the lines of, have you ever wondered what it's like to make your own schedule, to be able to be at your kids' dance classes, not have to worry about taking a day off when they're sick? I've been there. Have you ever thought of what you would do if you made $100,000 in a year? What if you made $100,000 in a month? What would you do with that? Um, and then if there was a legitimate business opportunity that could provide all these things plus so many other ways to enhance your life, would you want to learn more? And then that would be how I would start a conversation on a business elevator pitch, I guess, to kind of get them intrigued as what life can be like when you start to think differently, start to run empires, start to build.
The only difference between an entrepreneur and like the everyday average 8 to 4 person is you ask the question, how much money do you think you can make like this month? And then you're like, oh, I think I can make $10,000. Oh, I think I can make $1 million. And then you do because you use problem solving skills. And like building an empire is technically anyone can do it. And like when I was young, I'm like, no, I could never do that. I'm like, what if I could?
Right?
So,
And I was just thinking this morning about empires and stuff, and we're talking more on like a business empire, but it doesn't have to be in business, as you were kind of saying.
mhm,
Your family could be an empire. I don't know, your school project could be an empire. Like empire to me is just something that's really, really big and growing. And I don't really think a lot of us, including myself, really even know how big an empire could be or what exactly it is. So yeah, don't think it has to be based on business.
mhm. And like the empire of the mind, like controlling your mind and being in control of like you being conscious, competent, like you actually do things in your brain and your mind and your subconscious and they all work together. That's your empire, is like your creative imagination. Oh God, I went in that direction.
Right. But I mean, it's everything. I
Yeah.
focus on like when you were talking about building an empire, I focused on like my business empire and all the dreams and goals I have for that.
Mhm.
But as I really think about it, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, it could be your mind. It could be whatever. So it's a big word,
Right.
a big little word because it's not that big really.
Right. Entrepreneur is a bigger word, but it means the same thing sometimes, I think.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. What does it look like to run an empire? Like, what does your empire look like?
I mean, this question, there's so many different ways you can answer it.
Right?
Um, when I look at my empire and all the things that I've learned, and I mean, my empire, it's going places. It still is very much in like a growing empire stage, I guess you
Yeah.
could call it. But I think in order to run an empire, you don't have to be the smartest of the smart. You don't have to be um, the best of the best.
Mhm.
You have to be humble. You have to be
Right.
opening to learning. You have to be opening to listening. It goes both ways. There's always going to be something to learn, something new and evolving. An empire or a business or whatever you want to think of. It's not like your typical. You sit at your desk and you do the same thing day in and day out. There's never going to be a day that's the same.
Right.
I think to run an empire successfully, you have to be ready to lead, but you also have to be ready to follow. You
Mhm.
can't just because you're growing, you're learning. And I mean, I don't know everything about everything. Nobody does.
Mhm.
Um, and so you have to be willing to take direction and to follow those that maybe know a little bit more than you and you want to aspire to be more like them. There's a time and a place for everything. I think sometimes we're always so worried about, well, I don't want to be a follower,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes you have to be.
At top levels, leadership and mentorship is really important. So if you see like a successful entrepreneur, they usually have not just one mentorship, but they have like two mentorship. Like they're like getting taught by other people. That's like well known in like higher levels, as they have coaches and stuff like that.
Totally. I
Um,
mean, I know lots of the people I work very closely with, and they're making significantly
Yeah.
they have a bigger empire, they have a bigger vision. I mean, they've just been in business for 20 years longer than me, and
Mm-hmm.
so they should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they have their mentors and they have their people too. It's not like they got to make $1 million a year and then said, okay, I know it all now, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You're always constantly learning. You have to be growing in multiple ways. And there's a saying that we kind of, I'm sure you've heard it, we really fly with it in our office, in our organization. But if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. Dying.
And
That's how
and
extreme it is.
yeah, yeah. And it's kind of a scary thought, but I mean, you think right back to like to babies. If they're checking every, I forget it. My daughter's 5 now, but every week or month, I forget what the checks are, but they're making sure that they're gaining weight because if they're not growing, something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And business is kind of like a newborn baby.
Oh my God,
You
it
you
totally is.
have to be aware of the numbers. You have to be aware of who you're talking to. You have to be aware of all this
Mhm.
because if it's not growing, it's not doing
Doing its
well.
thing. And like for me, my like how my empire runs is 7 streams of income, 7 streams of spiritual growth. But like it took
Mm.
me 3 years to even get that theory in place. And then it took me 3 years to implement residual income and streams of income. Like you don't not you're not like everyone thinks that business is so easy and life is like poof, like that, but it's like a slow grind being an entrepreneur. Like
100%. I mean, I don't think there are businesses out there. They're not maybe legit, but it's that whole, it's business is not a get rich quick scheme. People sometimes
no,
think, oh, they went into business just because they're going to make a lot of money.
no,
Yes, you're going to make a lot of money one day. I'm going to make a lot of money one day, but I'm not there yet. And that's okay because I went into business to be able to stay home with my child.
yeah.
And so that was our goal. And yes, we had to make some sacrifices to make all the ends meet. 100%. But our business, our empire, my business kind of runs. You have the 7 streams. We really focus on family, fitness, finance, um, fun. Yeah, the 4 F's. And you got to kind of make sure that your empire is balanced on. And it's not a 4 wheel car; it's a 4 or 5 wheel car. And so that's what we really focus on, those 4 F's, and make sure that you don't overshoot on one and then sacrifice on the others. And maybe they're all a little bit smaller at times, maybe they're all a little bit bigger at times.
Mhm.
But it's that's what we do.
So
It's fun.
like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm an empire or I'm an entrepreneur, but they're really not. Because like in your industry, people will start with you and then fail within like the first year, right? Is there a lot of
Yep.
like turnover within the first year?
Yes.
So what is like you look at that person and you're like, oh, they're gonna be successful at like running their empire. Do you know what I mean? Like because you guys do mentorship thing. So is there characteristics that you see in an entrepreneur?
I mean, I think it's kind of all those things that
Yeah.
I already kind of were talking about. Like, and I think that's not just in my business. I mean, I'm sure you have characteristics similar, even though you're in a totally different industry.
Mm-hmm.
But true entrepreneurs, they have to be open to learning, open to listening, and ready to get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Greatness, I'm sure you've heard the quote, but greatness is always just outside of your comfort zone. And I mean, I have family and like they're like we have training on, let's say training on Saturdays. We go every Saturday. It's in my calendar. I run my life by my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my birthday a few weeks ago, and they're like, "You're gonna go on your birthday?"
Yeah.
And to them, that was so uncomfortable. They're like, "Why would you work by choice on your
I
birthday?"
love working.
And I was just like, why wouldn't? Like, I like going to my office. I like the people. I like learning.
Mhm.
So why wouldn't I? And they were just like, what do you mean you went to your office? You don't even have to go. It's a choice thing. And I'm like, yeah, but it's in my calendar. It's in my schedule. And it took me a while to get there. For a while, that was out of my comfort zone to go to the office. And because I mean, in our business, going to the office and being going to training and learning, you don't get paid for that.
Oh,
That's an employee thing. We
yeah.
don't trade time for money,
Yeah.
but by enhancing our mindset, enhancing our skill set, that's then going to enhance our business. And I think entrepreneurs, they see things differently, and it takes, that would be the biggest shift I've seen people. It took myself probably close on 2 or 3 years to kind of get there, but the change in mindset of entrepreneurs do not exchange time for money.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurs exchange ideas and they
Yeah.
exchange
Creativity,
learning and they exchange
curiosity.
curiosity. I mean, there's so many words. Employees exchange time for money. And
Yeah.
so all those people that were questioning, why would go to the office? What are you doing on your birthday? And they are used to going and well, if you're not getting paid, why would you go? But they're all employee focused. And I would say that's the biggest, that is not what you asked me, but that's the biggest change I see in
Yeah.
people is that shift from employee mindset to growth mindset.
Yeah. I would say it's just a simple growth mindset.
And
I,
it takes people some time, as you said. Some people come into our organization and they're just not ready, or they just quite don't quite see it, because it does take some time. You have to get licensed, you have to do all of these things before you're able to make money in our organization.
mhm.
And so sometimes those hurdles are just a little bit too big. Sometimes people come in and then they're like, hey, I'm not ready, but then they'll come back because
Yeah.
they see the growth in the people. Like a girl I work with, I contacted her 4 years ago when I was new in business, and she just wasn't ready. And I don't know that I was ready, but now I've built my organization a little bit bigger, and I just kept following up, and I think we've both changed, and she's ready. She was also a business owner, and then the business went under in COVID, unfortunately. And
Mhm.
so she had to go back to the employee status.
Sometimes
And
you
she's like,
have to, and it's
and she was
terrible.
like, oh, yeah, literally. She's like, I can't do it. How do I get out? What can you do? You need to get me into, I need to be a business owner. And I think once you've dipped your foot in that
Yeah.
pot of what it can be like to experience all the positive things, all the flexibility and the multiple streams of income and the vacations and that
Mhm.
once you've dipped your toe in that, doesn't matter what organization or industry you're in, it's very hard to go back. And so once you've flipped into that growth mindset,
Mhm.
it's easy. It's easy to stay. I mean, it's not always easy, but it's easier.
Right? I could not, I can't even like have a boss anymore because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have a nap today. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I don't have to ask people to do anything. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
can do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. Like that's just a thing.
Totally.
Part of like entrepreneurship, and I find even part of life is like a lot of things are thrown at you, right? It's like, oh no, no, no. But like I find with entrepreneurship, especially if you're successful at it, there's like wisdom involved, right? So like you have
Mm.
to throw in the wisdom of fill in the blank. But like I guess my question is, in running an empire, how do you find wisdom? Like how do you find the truth and like the right answer? Super hard question. I threw it in there. I'm sorry.
How do you find the truth? I mean, I don't know that any of us know the truth.
I guess.
Um, I to this day, I mean, as I said, I'm 4 years in,
Yeah.
and I've learned a lot, and I think I've changed a lot. I dare say the person I am today was not the person I was 4 years ago.
Mhm.
But I won't tell anybody that, oh, I know it all. You
No.
have to, I mean, it all comes down to those same things that I've mentioned a few times. You have to be okay to get out of your comfort zone. And
Mhm.
for some people, getting out of their comfort zone is asking for help or
Yeah.
asking for guidance or being okay. I don't want to, it's not being okay to fail because you've never failed.
Mhm.
You've just kind
Learn.
of
Be
learned,
okay to
but being okay to be
learn.
like, okay, look, I've done this. It's not working.
Yeah.
I'm going to go speak to someone who it is working for and learn from them. There's a saying, I don't know which book it's from, but you are the person, or you are like the average of the 5 people that you hang around with the most.
Mhm.
And so if you want to run an empire, like someone who's running $1 million empire, you got to go hang out with them. You want to have a family that's super happy and they do date nights and they do this and their kids, you got to find some families that are doing that.
Mhm.
I think that's where you find wisdom. That's where you find truth. Is looking what other whoever has what you want
Mhm.
in any aspect of your life.
Mhm.
You have to go and associate with those people. Take them out for a coffee. Take them. Ask if their kids can come hang out with you, and then you and the mom or the dads go play darts or whatever in the
Mhm.
basement. Um, yeah, you can't expect to know it all and to become full of wisdom and and all of that on your own. You
No.
have to be open to having conversations. You have to be open to change. You have to be open learning. And I think that's in all aspects. The only way to change is to learn how to change. I don't think
Yeah.
you can just, I mean, you can kind of fly by the seat of your pants. And as I said, there's a time and a place for that too.
Mhm.
But if something's not working, to be like, okay, it's not
Change.
working. I've
Yeah.
tried this. And to be open to then go and talk to
Yeah.
someone who it's working for,
Yeah.
and be humbled by that. Like, okay, I did this, it didn't work. I don't want to fail. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna go and see what person whoever is doing.
Mhm.
And
And sometimes it's a little change because like I was calling golf courses to like get solar panels on the golf courses and I called for like 4 calls every week for like 2 3 months and I was like this is not working. Like can we
mm,
like but like it's because golf courses are owned by developers, so then we switched it to call developers instead of golf courses and it was like and I'm like
100%.
oh that's
Yes.
where the money is.
Yeah, the people that work there, they're the employees. They can only do what they've been told to do.
Right,
They don't get to have these
so
mind-blowing
right
mind-blowing
sometimes
experiences.
but you have to do the oops to like get to the
Yes.
right answer.
Yes. And just because you did an oops or you tried something 10 times, it didn't work, doesn't mean you failed. If anything,
Yeah.
you've grown because you've done it. You got out of your comfort zone. Maybe in our business, you have to always be contacting people. People are our inventory in our
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
And maybe you've called a bunch. I mean, I went through this week. I met with my mentor and I said, hey, I'm making all these contacts, but it's just not getting the ball rolling. And he said, you got to try this and this. And so now I'm on this, and I went in there. I was frustrated, and I was kind of like, but I wasn't like embarrassed. I was like, I've done this. It's not working. What can I do? You're almost making $1 million. So clearly you
You
know what to
know,
do. You've
yeah,
been
you
in
know the
business for
answer.
20 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you. And then I sent out a few texts to some other, like some moms that are in our office and be like, hey, I got to associate more with people the same,
Mhm.
in the same headspace. And I think it comes down to, I mean, for me anyways, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that aren't a lot different than me, you have to be okay with what your story is.
Yeah.
And yes, do I wish I was the one making $1 million? That'd be great.
Mhm.
And do I wish that my business had grown way faster since I started it? Yes, that would also be wonderful. I mean, the whole there's so many things. But when I look back and it's like, okay, well, I was only 2 years in when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I started business to have flexibility with my daughter. And yes, are we making all the money? No. But we got to get her to preschool and she's never once set foot in a daycare or a day home.
Oh, see?
We have childcare. I always like to be like, don't think I'm super mom. We have childcare,
Mhm.
but it's on our terms. It's one-on-one. We bring someone, whether it's a grandma or babysitter, into our house.
Mhm.
And so you have to be humble
Mhm.
to ask for help, humble to learn, humble to take a step back and be like, okay, I am not that person, but this is my story and this is where we're going, and just believe so much in who you are,
Mhm.
and believe in your business, whatever it is,
Mhm.
that it'll work for you. If you put it out there, it'll work, but you also have to be willing to do the work and have the conversations and talk to the people, and grow your skill set, grow your mindset,
Mhm.
grow in so many ways. I think that's how you learn to be do know it all and be the
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah. Um, like we make things so complicated. Do you know what I mean? But like business is done at a grade 4 level. There's really a simplicity to life. Like exactly like you said, building an empire is like raising kids. It's the same hard level. You know what I mean? So if you raise kids, you can run an empire because you're already doing it.
Yes, I truly believe anyone who has children could be successful in my company, could be
Mhm.
successful in their own company. Yes, you are not wrong.
That's your main niche though, right? You're looking for people that have kids and want a different approach to life.
Yeah, like I guess if I was to pick, someone asked me the other day, like, what's your perfect client? And yeah, like a perfect client is a family who's just looking for some options, and they maybe have some kids, they have a mortgage, they probably have some debt in this day and age. Um, and I mean, that's who I like to talk to, who I like to work with. I can respond and relate really, really well when I'm growing my empire, I'm growing my organization, my team, whatever you want to call it. I was that mom who didn't want to go back to work, who needed something else because we couldn't live off one income. And so I can relate. I can respond to that. Mat leave is finishing.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't want to go back. I don't want to do daycare. Like from before I had kids,
It's done.
I knew that daycare was like a non-negotiable. Like it was not happening. I didn't care what we had to do to
Mhm.
make that happen. And so when we talk about goals and things that we've achieved, that's like my number one goal that I've achieved. And is it a money goal? No, but anyways, and so if I was to pick a niche and like someone that I would just love to work with, it's a mom or a dad. I mean, dads take
Yeah.
parental leave too. Um, with the mat leaves, I mean, and they don't know what to do next, and they're open to learning what something else could look like, possibly, as I was saying before, like a legitimate business opportunity
Mhm.
that gives you the chance to change your life. And 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 that's my ideal person to work with because I've been there. I've fought through the toddlerhood and the babyhood and running my business on naps. Like I get it. I can coach someone how to do that. Is that the only person that I'm willing to work with? No. If someone comes across my way and they're an 18-year-old fresh out of high school, but sees the world in a big way
Mhm.
and wants to run an empire in an organization, of course I am going to have a conversation with them. If
Right?
I run into someone in their 70s and they just don't want to be retired and they hate it and they want to build something bigger for their futures, of course I will talk. I'm not going to not talk to anybody. I can just relate so well to those parents that are like, that what are we going to do? Whether maybe they've gone back to work and they're like, this isn't working, their kids hate daycare or
Mhm.
whatever. And so, I mean, to pick a niche, that would be what it is. But I just really like to help people. And I'm honestly open to having conversations with anybody because I
Mhm.
think everybody deserves to learn what our organization is doing.
Mhm.
And then they can make the decision. But it's better to know than wonder, oh, what if I had talked to her 5 years ago? Where could we be now?
Yeah.
Why not just have the conversation now and go from there? And then do the what if in 5 years or whatever.
Right? It's all like mindset work. It's all like helping yourself. If you want to run an empire, you run an empire. This is your decision. It's not mine. Like that's what I tell
Yes.
my clients. Like if you want to, come join me, but like personal responsibility and like there's a flow to money. Like sometimes you have money, sometimes you don't. Like sometimes you have a lot of money, sometimes you don't. As an
Right.
entrepreneur, I'm like, sometimes I have a lot of money and then I don't.
Right.
I
And then
invest.
it's gone.
Yeah, so it just depends. Any last sage advice or words of wisdom for you in running an empire?
Uh, I mean, I think I think you just have to be open to it. As I was saying, be open to having a conversation. Whether it's a conversation about becoming an entrepreneur, whether it's a conversation about, hey, my kid is not sleeping at night. Um, be open to talking to people. I think as I've kind of mentioned, like learning from others is the best way to better yourself.
Mhm.
Um, but on the stage of running an empire, I mean, I think you just have to be willing to put your talents towards your own business.
Yeah.
So many people that I talk to, there are these employees, as we kind of mentioned, and they're in a job that they don't really like,
Mhm.
or they're in a job that they love, but they're making all the money for someone else. And
Mhm.
to have that mindset shift and be like, okay, look at take all those talents,
Yeah.
but put them like this is what it can look like. And as I mentioned in my elevator pitch, like, do you know what it feels like to be able to say, hey, I can stay home with you today because you're sick?
Yeah.
Or but if you're an employee, that's not going to happen. And whether it's you have a conversation and with me about my organization, or you're just like, hey, I'm a really great recruiter, but I'm recruiting, and I talk to a lot of recruiters, and I'll say, look at you're great and you're doing all this, but you're basically allowing your boss to be in Hawaii right now. Why would
And
you not come
recruiters
and
make a
put up
lot of money at the top. Like the person that owns that company makes a lot of money.
right?
You're just a
And so I mean,
recruiter. So
I love our business
yeah.
system for that reason because anybody can be the owner of your
Yeah.
own business in
Yeah.
our system. I mean, you have to have some growing pains, and I think it's smart to have growing pains because you don't want to just jump in and be the top owner. You don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
Um, and so I always say like have a conversation. What would it look like if you took all your talents
Mhm.
and put it towards your own business? And then your family that's on the beach, but it's not just your family. It would be your family plus all of your friends who are in business with you. You're all going to go to the beach and your business is going to run itself
Yeah.
because that's how business works. You are
Yeah.
in business,
At the
my
top,
business anyways.
you do less. You do lots of work at the beginning and then you do less work.
Yes.
It's just a fact.
Yeah. And so just, yeah, kind of going back to your question,
Mhm.
just be open to having conversations and learning what's out there because you don't know until you know. And I mean, do you really want to sit back in 5 years and kind of say, well, what if I had talked to Catherine or what if I had talked to Lorette?
Mhm.
And and then and I mean you still can, but if you've done it a little earlier, what could things look like? And is it going to be the perfect fit to work with Lorette?
Mhm.
Maybe, maybe
Maybe.
not. Is it going to be the perfect fit to come work with me?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Maybe
maybe
not.
not. But you won't know until you
You have
get
a
curious,
conversation. Yeah.
you get uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and you kind of learn what else is out there.
Mhm.
And
Well,
just
thank you.
be
Yeah.
open.
Thank you for being on Give Permission to Ask Questions. Yay, we're done.
You're welcome. That was fun.